Hi, David again from concertblogger.com. I have the great pleasure to be talking with Jake Furia today, Long Island-based singer-songwriter. Just getting out there, just starting out, and actually really not just starting out. You've been around for a while. You've just put out a new EP, the acoustic EP, that just came out. But prior to that, you were in a metal band.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, I think, today.
For sure, I'm all about it.
Well, let's start at the beginning. How did you first decide that you wanted to pursue music as a passion, as a living?
Led Zeppelin when I was like 14. my mom, actually, when I was like 10, my dad got me like my first guitar. And then my mom got me lessons on it, and that was all cool and all, but then she actually specifically showed me Led Zeppelin, and I was like, wow, I need to grow up to do that for a living.
Really? Led Zeppelin?
Yeah.
Jimmy Page, huh?
Specifically Jimmy Page. It's like my first rock and roll hero ever. Like, I went through a time when I was a kid where I only listened to classic rock, and it was the Stones and the Beatles and Zeppelin, of course, and all kinds of music like that, and I grew it out from there pretty much, but that's totally what started it, was just Jimmy Page, pretty much.
Was there a lot of music around your house when you were a kid growing up? Were your parents into music? Or?
They are. I mean, just as fans.
You said your dad bought you your first guitar at 10.
He actually gave me his first guitar. Like, he had a guitar for like 30 years, and then he gave it to me, and it just took.
Yeah.
I mean, they taught me all about like Pink Floyd and Crosby, Stills and Nash. And Guns N' Roses, even though I was a little past that, but still, it was before my time. And all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so that's how I got started. All kinds of classic rock from my parents.
So when did you start playing out with friends and stuff? You know, how did the band start, I guess?
Well, when I was like 16, I got into my first band. It was one of those bands. It was called Adrenaline Rush, spelled with a Y to be cool.
Of course.
And I sang lead, and it was like Metallica and Guns N' Roses and all that, you know, hard rock and roll. So I was doing that first when I was 16. When I was 17, 18, I spent a couple of years in a groove metal band, kind of like Korn, System. That was what I loved at the time. And there was a band called Deadly Blessed. It was a metal band, you know.
Where you started to do originals and
write
your own stuff and
I loved all kinds of just heavy bands, and I just still wanted to be a lead singer and transposed into that. And then most importantly though, when I was 19, in the January of 2013, I guess, that band broke up. And then I was on my own a little bit, and people told me I was really good at playing acoustic music. So I had like 5 tracks or so just ready to go, and I went in and threw them down on a whim, and literally just got to build a career out of it. Like,
really,
up.
it just kind of came together. The end of one thing actually led to the beginning of something that's really substantial.
Yeah, I mean, for the first time, people were like, you know, when I'm playing music, whatever, people were like, hey, who is that? That's great. And I was like, oh, really?
You're kind of hidden a little bit when you're especially in a heavy metal band, I think.
Yeah.
Each of the guys in the band is working together, but it's this loud, brash sound, and what your talents are kind of hidden. Whereas when you go on an acoustic thing with just you and just the guitar and a microphone, there's no hiding behind any loud drums or anything.
Oh no, for sure. It was funny because I had like this girl I was dating when I was in that metal band, and then like when I got started with this, she's like, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you, I never liked your band, but you do really awesome now." She's like, "You've been doing that forever." But you know what? It's the most wonderful outlet for me. Personally, I love every kind of music, and it's just true. And I'm gonna be pushing that concept in the album that I'm working on. I'm working on a full-length LP with a full band. The whole act is called I'm Jake Furia, and the whole act is called Jake Furia and the Be Yourselves. Why that silly name? I'll take it.
I don't think it's silly.
Well, you know, some people like, anyway, here you go. The reason was I never liked the idea of being a solo artist. I never thought it was cool. And I like bands. I like Zeppelin, I like System of a Down, I like Guns N' Roses, and every other band, and I wanted to be in a band. So the whole point was just to be kind of trolly about it and be like, I'm a solo artist, but there's a full band behind me, and it's not supposed to be about me, it's supposed to be about everybody.
But these are the people that make it happen.
Right, so whatever, any fan, any band member, whatever it is I was bringing to the table, I would ask that they be themselves. That's why I call it that. So I'm doing this full-length LP for the first time, and it's
And what's the name of it?
It's called Where the Ends Fall Off.
Where the Ends Fall Off. Okay.
Yeah, and it's branching off of. I just put out the acoustic EP, which is my first legitimate professional release ever. It's 5 tracks, all recorded on this guitar, and that's it. And it was just kind of like where I wanted to start it and where I had at the time. I wanted to do something raw and roots music. And but now on this LP that I'm cutting, I have this really wonderful band behind me. I have a guitarist and a drummer and a bassist, and they're just so talented at what they do. And we're gonna come together to make an album that is legitimately reggae and pop punk and alternative and a little bit of hardcore music and all kinds of things, and especially a little bit of electro music here and there. That's my favorite.
At the moment. You're flexible, you have to go through cycles, and there's so much music out there. There's so many different types of music out there. I think that in order to get anything out of any one, you have to really study it for a little while.
Yeah, you just have to feel it and become a little bit immersed in it.
Exactly. I went through my reggae period. I went through my, but that's how you bring that to the rest of
the whole style.
What you do, exactly. I still remember with me, I grew up as a heavy metal kid, and I remember an ex-girlfriend's dad introduced me to a John Lee Hooker album. Oh. And I had never been into blues before. I'd never been into anything but metal. I was like, oh, metal's it, and that's it.
That was that guy.
And then all of a sudden, that one moment, and it was on vinyl, and I remember he had this old record player, and it was on vinyl, and all the pops and the scratches and stuff too, and it changed my life.
And you could feel it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
When I was like 16 or 17 or something, I was listening to I got into Lamb of God at that point, and all more current, heavy groove metal kind of bands. I took down my Bob Marley poster and put up a Slayer flag. And then came.
And then you go to something else, and then there's something else. There's just so much out there, and if you can really successfully blend it all together, you make something unique.
Right, which is I've never, not to be like that guy, but I haven't heard of an act yet that has successfully put together everything. Just not caring about it. Just whatever it is, making it one cohesive sound. So the whole concept of my band and my album is it's going to be everything that I love, all under the guise of an alternative rock project.
Cool. So do you have any of the songs written for the new album? Have you got that stuff worked on?
Yeah, there's 12 to 15 tracks.
Yeah, and then kind of figure out what's going to happen when you get into the studio and kind of work it with everybody together.
There's that huge element of being experimental and on the spot that makes beautiful things, of course.
Of course.
But I've been rehearsing my whole band for actually since the past year. I've just been working on them and making them awesome. And they are awesome now.
Good, cool.
And, they know all
it's just to get that rhythm of, I really think music is a language.
Yeah.
And when you have to be able to speak the same language with the guys that you're with, in order to get your point across.
Yep, you just got to get in that real groove with your people.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I came across a couple guys who were just wonderful at what they did, and they're all about it. They stand behind me and make great music, and it's just the most wonderful experience.
Awesome. So do you have any tour dates coming up? Any kind of live shows coming up?
Yeah, you know what? All of the live shows that I'm playing right now are all close to home. They're all in Long Island, and I just did a little bit in the city, a little bit. But it's all because we're starting recording this album.
Of course, you have to. Exactly, you have to be around.
Yeah, I love playing anywhere, but
Yeah, of course. We can find any of the dates and stuff on your website?
Absolutely. I keep super up to date on. I love Instagram. I'm sharing my dude's Instagram with this right now because just love it. So I keep up to date on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. If you just type in Jake Furia music to anything, you'll find.
Not Jake LaFuria.
No,
there's some other guy named Jake LaFuria. I was like, who is this guy? What is this?
Italian hip hop artist who's making him so hard to find.
Oh, is he? I didn't even realize he was a music artist. That's so funny. Funny.
Yeah. So Jake Furia music, very specifically.
Very specifically. Okay.
You'll find everything. I have all kinds of shows coming up for this summer. I have one awesome one actually at Revolution, which is in Amityville, on Long Island, and it's a huge reggae thing because that's the beautiful thing. I can be booked on whatever.
Yeah, and that's another thing is when you do a bunch of different sounds in your music, you can be paired up with a lot of different artists in different slots, and really great career-wise. You know, it's so funny that you bring up the social media aspect of things. It's such a different world nowadays in the music industry, in that social media and being on top of your Twitter and your Instagram and all that kind of stuff is really almost as important as it was 20 years ago to get signed to a label. Literally. Now getting signed to a label is almost like a handicap in a way.
Yeah.
So you can, it's basically up to you to make what you want to make out of your career, rather than putting it in someone else's hands.
No, I agree, but you know, it's actually just a lot cooler that you can pick up your iPhone and just be like, okay, I'm gonna promote this right now.
Yeah.
Shoot out whatever.
I'm gonna talk directly to my fans. There's somebody that really likes me in Sweden or something, and I can instantly have a little conversation with them, and it changes the world, I think.
It does. I love it.
Very much so. Speaking of your social media, I noticed you were at the Warped Tour this year. How was that?
It was great. I literally went to my first Warped Tour last year in 2013. Before that, I didn't even really like modern music. I came up kind of weird with what I liked, and I discovered everything in the last 2 years. My favorite genre of music, hands down, for the last 2-3 years, is electronic dance music. Just all kinds of things.
Straight up.
Oh yeah, like that's why I started coming to New York City and Webster Hall. I fell in love with Skrillex and Deadmau5 and took off from there. So then I went to the Warped Tour and I discovered punk music. I discovered that I loved bands like A Day to Remember and the Wonder Years. They're wonderful. And the Muse, who's on the wall right now. All that kind of music. And last year when I went to the Warped Tour, I found like my first big goal in my career. I got started just last year, and my first thing that we're kind of heading up with my whole career is I really want to have an awesome kind of run on the Warped Tour. When I hit that particular point, that would go in full.
That's the next thing, and then we'll move on from there.
Yeah, it'll be like the first legitimate milestone. Because realistically, I play, just because of the fact that I play a lot of kinds of music, I want to go do things in all kinds of scenes. I would love to have the period of my career where I'm super reggae and just playing with my favorite band ever, actually, the Dirty Heads.
Okay.
You know, they tour with like Sublime with Roman and Pepper and all those bands. So I'd love to have a time like that. Just as much as I'd love to do a little hardcore stuff, because I love Straight from the Path and all that kind of stuff. But the whole point is, I'd like to get started right in the Warped Tour, because I think it's a wonderful scene of music.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you sitting down with us.
Thank you, Dave.
And it's been a great thing. Good luck on the touring and the new album coming out. Again, Where the Ends Fall Off is the name, and we'll be looking for it this fall. But in the meantime, we can get out there and get the acoustic EP, which is available on iTunes and through your website, I'm sure.
Sure. iTunes, Spotify. Actually, on a awesome note, my favorite thing I have is my SoundCloud. I like SoundCloud because DJs use SoundCloud.
Oh, cool. So all your music's up there on SoundCloud, all your different things.
There's 2 tracks straight up for free. I have a song called Breathe that we just featured through Guitar World in the Acoustic Nation section. And if you search Jake-Furia-Music on SoundCloud, you'll get a couple of songs for free.
Awesome.
And thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck, and we'll see you out there on the road.
See you, man.